All right, what's going on, everybody? It is I, your favorite Michael Saylor fanboy, Michael Garza. Now, you're probably wondering why do I always talk about Michael Saylor? Why am I so obsessed? It's because for the first time in my life, I realized that creating a Ponzi scheme of a company is legal, and I'm inspired by Michael Saylor more than anything. I guess a part of me wants to be a Ponzi artist. I want to be a Ponzi. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to be a Ponzi artist. So I want to talk about the problem. And here's the thing, CoffeeZilla. I have to do cleanup work for CoffeeZilla. You want to know why? Because CoffeeZilla isn't calling out the real Ponzi's. Right? He is calling out some of the legitimate ones for sure. He's calling out Kalshi for being a gambling company. Absolutely. He's calling out prediction markets for basically being gambling. I'm happy about that. I'm very glad about that. CoffeeZilla is doing God's work. But I am finishing CoffeeZilla's work to a certain degree. I'm looking at certain things that are Ponzi schemes that CoffeeZilla seems to overlook. Like Bitcoin and all of cryptocurrency. The entire crypto market is a scam, by the way. An NFT, at the end of the day, is really no more valuable than Bitcoin. They're both worth $0 intrinsically. So what I'm trying to get at is Bitcoin is the greatest Ponzi scheme that nobody's calling a Ponzi scheme. Well, I shouldn't say nobody. But my problem with CoffeeZilla as of late is he's not calling out cryptocurrency as a Ponzi. And he should. Absolutely. What up, random player? How you doing, my brony brother? So I'm doing verticals again because I will admit YouTube's simulcast feature is absolute garbage. I love YouTube for the most part, except for when they ban people. YouTube's gotten better, though, surprisingly. Shockingly. Freedom of thought matters, man. But yeah, I decided not to do the simulcast thing. I think it's pointless and kind of dumb. Hey, thank you, dude. I do have a bit of a French look to me. Well, I am French-Irish. Part of me is French-Irish. So in a lot of ways, I do grow a very French beard. I'm like a Frenchman. I'm thinking about growing it out for a bit. I might even keep it for a few months. You know, if it works, if it gets more people subscribing to the channel, I'm happy about it. But how's it going, my brony brothers? My brony brothers with Michael Saylor. Hey, but thank you, though. I appreciate the beard compliments. You know, it's not easy, man. So the question here I'm asking is MicroStrategy the next Enron? I really believe this. I believe that MicroStrategy is the next Enron. And you're probably thinking, Michael, why would you say that? Why would you say that about our Lord and Savior, Michael Saylor? Well, here's the thing. Michael Saylor is a Ponzi artist. I believe that. It's an opinion. By the way, he is a public figure, so I have a right to an opinion on this man. I believe that Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme through and through. I don't believe there's any redeeming qualities to Bitcoin, and I do believe with my heart, all of my heart, that Bitcoin might be the greatest grift of all time. And we should consider it to be a grift. Oh, random player. You gotta calm down, man. You gotta calm down, bro. My brony brother, you gotta calm down, bro. You gotta calm down. But no, I'm not a fan of Michael Saylor. In fact, I do think the man is a grifter. I think that Bitcoin's an absolute grift, without a doubt. Well, the reason it's a Ponzi scheme is, one, Bitcoin on its own, if you look at it without looking at the market value, if you know, what's funny is you can measure an asset without looking at its market value. You can measure its worth without looking at market value. It's called book value, right? So I can at least fairly determine the value of gold and silver based on its utility. I could value the worth of a stock or real estate based on its based on what it can produce, what it can do, right? Bitcoin can't do anything. Bitcoin is slow, and Bitcoin is just a string of data. When you buy Bitcoin, you're literally owning strings of data. That's it. And I just don't understand why people think that crypto or Bitcoin or any of that is worth anything, because it isn't. It's intrinsically worthless, and it's not the future. You know, it sucks. Crypto is a bubble. The crypto markets are a huge bubble, and they're collapsing before our eyes. And the thing is, we're going to see one of the biggest collapses of all time. Bitcoin will collapse, and it will collapse extremely hard, and it deserves to. And by the way, transparency alert, I bet against Bitcoin proudly. I love betting against Bitcoin because I think Bitcoin is absolute trash, and it deserves to be regarded as absolute trash. Min Sierra is saying, Garza, check out silver versus Bitcoin. It's insane. Yeah. Someone said BTC is yeah, it makes sense. Bitcoin, first off, Bitcoin is clickcoin. We all know that Bitcoin on the surface is really just crap. It's crapto. Look, you guys got to admit at some point that Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. Come on, it's greater fool theory on steroids. Now, who here thinks that MicroStrategy is basically the next Enron? I think it's Enron squared. I mean, Enron didn't, I don't even know much about the whole Enron scandal, but honestly, what Michael Saylor has done, I think should be considered fraudulent, if we're going to be honest. Should. And why not? If you turn your entire company into a Bitcoin treasury, I see that as no different.
Laugh out loud.
Than going down to the roulette table and claiming that you decided to just park all your chips on red every single time or black. You're taking a chance. A stupid chance, by the way. Yeah, BlackRock owns most of the stock, by the way, but you want to know why they own most of the stock? Because they have a lot of what are called ETFs, exchange-traded funds, that people invest into. And because people invest into those ETFs, the underlying fund itself has to buy up as many of the companies as possible. Why do you think BlackRock owns most of the stock? Because they have a lot of ETFs. The same can be said for Vanguard, by the way. You know what's funny? Nobody gives Vanguard the same crap that BlackRock gets. BlackRock is really no different than Vanguard, yet everybody seems to suck on the zipples of Vanguard. And but no, look, I like Vanguard and I like BlackRock. I have no problem with BlackRock owning majority of the assets because, truth be told, the only reason they own majority of the assets is because they have so many ETFs. They have so many funds that are out there and available for people to invest into. I have a few BlackRock index ETFs that I've invested into. I have a lot of Vanguard ETFs that I've invested into. The point I'm trying to say is this. The reason that they hold all of these effing stocks and all of these effing assets is very simple. Come on, man. Put two and two together. BlackRock themselves may own them, but technically those shares, those companies technically belong to the shareholders because the shareholders own the funds. BlackRock merely, what's the term? So what BlackRock actually is doing is holding on to the companies for the respective funds that they own, but they also, those funds are owned by the shareholders. Does that make sense? But anyway, I think you guys are getting the idea of what I'm saying. I hope you guys are. If not, no big deal. But it begs the question, is MicroStrategy the next Enron? Now, I want to go over a few facts. I think that Michael Saylor, I believe, is one of the worst CEOs of all time, and he's he's terrible for doing what he's done. But there are concrete, documentable reasons that critics say his Bitcoin treasury strategy is bad corporate leadership. It's bad stewardship. It's terrible. It's a Ponzi scheme. Especially if you judge a CEO by risk control, operating focus, and sustainable cash flow. So here's the thing. First, one key correction. Sorry. Saylor's actually not the CEO. I want to say that. Because technically it's somebody else. He has been the executive chairman since August of 2022 as after serving as CEO from 1989 to 2022, but he still has a very big voice in what this terrible company does. So, but what he did, I want to go over some fact-based reasons why critics argue that this strategy is terrible as a company, and why Michael Saylor sucks. But he did is he effectively turned a software company into a leveraged Bitcoin vehicle. So Reuters describes strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, as having transitioned from a software firm into a company known primarily for large-scale Bitcoin holdings, drawing criticism that it resembles an investment vehicle more than a tech operating company. So basically, it's a Bitcoin ETF. That's what I would like to believe. I think it's a Bitcoin fund at this point. That's my opinion. Samuel, what up, dude? My brony brother. So many bronies, dude. And Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor. Well, you guys, why do I like Michael Saylor so much? Why am I so gay for Michael Saylor? Can you guys tell me that? Anyway, so there's extreme concentration risk. Basically, it's an all-in on one volatile asset. By the way, Bitcoin is extremely volatile, and all you own at the end of the day is a string of data. But in SEC risk disclosures, the company states that the vast bulk of its assets are concentrated in Bitcoin, which limits diversification and risk mitigation. So basically, when you're investing in strategy, you're basically taking a risk. Not just a risk. You're basically assuming that Bitcoin is the future, is what you're assuming. And it's a shitty assumption because Bitcoin's transactional rate is terrible. People don't want to use Bitcoin as a method of payment. They want to buy into Bitcoin because they think that some other moron is going to buy what they bought at a higher price. They don't really care about Bitcoin. They don't care. They don't think it's the future of money. And by the way, if Michael frickin' Saylor thought that Bitcoin was legitimately the future, why can't I buy any of his merchandise on his website with Bitcoin? Can somebody answer that for me, please? Why can I not? Because I was looking at Micro Wiener Strategy's website. I was checking out their merch store, and I was thinking to myself, wait a minute. I noticed that I can use just about any method of payment. I can use a credit card. I can use Google Pay. Very interesting. I can't use mother effing Bitcoin. I can't use Bitcoin to even buy strategy merchandise. How much of a Ponzi is that, by the way? Can somebody explain that to me, please? How come Michael Saylor, in all of his infinite wisdom and all the board members of strategy, how come I can't buy any of his fucking merch, his stupid Bitcoin strategy merch with Bitcoin? Can somebody explain this to me, please? Why do I have to use Google Pay? Why can't I use the one thing that you promote, Mr. Michael Saylor? Oh, yeah, because even Michael Saylor knows that Bitcoin's a grift. The only reason he keeps the grift alive is because he knew that that grift saved his company, because he basically knew his company was dying, went to the roulette wheel, metaphorically speaking, put it all on red, and he got lucky. Because Bitcoin could have easily went to zero. And eventually will go to zero because it has zero intrinsic value, is what I'm trying to get at. See, the reason Michael Saylor doesn't debate anybody, he doesn't debate, he refuses to debate Peter Schiff, which I find very hilarious, by the way. Samuel Westall is wondering, what does brony mean? Brony is basically, hey, my brony brother, you know. Bronies are basically dudes, like creepy old men who like My Little Pony, basically, but I thought it's fun. I think it's funny to call my entire fan base brony brothers. Min Sierra says Bitcoin is like the emperor's new clothes. Exactly. It's seriously a Ponzi scheme. And it's a bloody shame that nobody calls it for what it is. A Ponzi scheme. Scott Schaefer is wondering, where's the ketchup stunt, boy? I don't know, brony. But yeah, no, bronies are basically creepy old men that watch My Little Pony. And I love calling everybody a brony because I think it's funny. Anyway, so the next reason, the next thing I want to state is that the Bitcoin strategy relies heavily on raising money, debt, equity, and preferred, rather than operating cash flow. Think about it this way. All they do is they take on debt, they issue more shares of their stupid company, and then they use those new shares that they issue, further diluting the shareholders, by the way, to buy more Bitcoin. That's the problem. Anyway, I'll explain it a little more clearly. So in an SEC filing, the company says its enterprise analytics software business has not generated positive operating cash flow in recent periods, and it does not expect that business to generate enough cash flow to satisfy obligations over the next 12 months. So it intends to fund obligations via equity or debt financings, which themselves may depend on Bitcoin's value and sentiment. Isn't that funny? So you're telling me that them holding on to Bitcoin and never selling it isn't producing any cash flows. That's very true. I'm surprised they don't sell a little bit of Bitcoin. Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is what they're doing is a Ponzi scheme, by the way. And I'm a little bit sad that I haven't seen CoffeeZilla go after strategy. CoffeeZilla needs to absolutely go after Micro Wiener strategies. If he doesn't, I think CoffeeZilla is a fraud. Because CoffeeZilla is supposed to be this guy who's like, I'm going to catch all the grifters. I'm the best. I'm the greatest. Scott Schaefer just sent me a makeup brush for 6 joules. Thank you, my Bruni brother. I appreciate it, man. Michael Saylor. Scott Schaefer, though, I want to thank you for the makeup brush, my brony brother. Anyway, so here's another thing. There's also big fixed obligations, plus refinancing liquidity risk if Bitcoin drops. So, also from the SEC filing, as of June 30th, 2025, it reported $8.24 billion of outstanding indebtedness as preferred stock with 315.9 million of annual regular dividends. Then explicitly warns that a significant decline in Bitcoin's market value could create liquidity and credit risks, potentially forcing Bitcoin sales at unfavorable prices or even risking default. Anyway, let's keep going. So earnings and reported results can become extremely volatile because Bitcoin price moves hit net income. So the same SEC filing. Hold on. Sam's saying, hey, Garza, not to interrupt you. I think I found out the real reason why I didn't want to get married. It's mainly because my brother chose her for me. I wanted her to be my choice. Ah. I understand, man. Hey, man, things get tricky. Sometimes things get a little tricky. I get it. Yeah, well, Sam, if you got to call off the wedding, man, you got to do what you got to do. I can't make that choice for you, though. You got to make the choice. You got to either choose to commit or not commit. Either way, it depends on how you feel about the decision. Doesn't matter what I feel. Doesn't even matter what your brother feels about it. It's your choice. It's your life. It's not his. Anyway. Also, another fun fact. Tax and cash flow mismatch risks. Paper gains don't pay bills is a thing. The filing also flags that unrealized gains, which don't generate cash, could still create meaningful cash tax obligations under the corporate alternative minimum tax framework, potentially requiring Bitcoin sales or additional financing to raise cash. Shareholders, by the way, can get whipsawed. The stock can fall hard, even while the company keeps buying. A recent Barron's piece notes the firm continued buying nearly $1 billion of Bitcoin in a week, yet the stock was down sharply and down materially year to date at the time, reflecting how sentiment can turn against the model. Yeah. So why some investors don't view him as terrible? I don't know why investors don't view him as terrible. I think he is the biggest Ponzi artist of all time. Straight up. Do I think he's a terrible human being? No. I'm pretty sure he's a good father. I'm pretty sure he's a good person for the most part. I even think he's an intelligent person. Shockingly. But even intelligent people can believe in stupid ideas. Take academic people, for example. They tend to lean towards socialism and communism. Why? No fucking clue. Even though they're the dumbest ideas ever created by a man. There's just some dumb ideas that smart people really lean towards, and I don't know why. Am I a smart person? I don't know. I don't really give a shit. All I know is I am analytical. I am curious about the skills I can develop. Anyway, so some of the reasons why investors don't view him as terrible. The company's approach can function like leveraged Bitcoin exposure, and some shareholders explicitly want that. Even amid the controversy, the company remained in the NASDAQ 100, which suggests it still meets certain market cap like liquidity criteria, though critics dispute the classification. I can't believe, I did not know that, actually. That was a fun fact I just recently discovered, was that MicroStrategy is in the NASDAQ 100. Honestly, that makes me want to sell any NASDAQ 100 related ETFs on principle alone. I don't know. MicroStrategy, dude, is one of the worst companies ever. Now, here's the question. Is strategy the next Enron? Enron collapsed because it misled investors with accounting structures and deceptive reporting, not merely because it took big risks. Based on what strategy is disclosed publicly, it's basically, I really do. I think that this is an opinion of mine. I think that MicroStrategy is the next Enron. One moment. Now, what do I personally believe? I believe that yes. I think that what strategy is doing is irresponsible and illegal. Maybe not illegal in today's age, actually, but it's unethical, right? But hey, it's his company. If if the shareholders are okay with it, the shareholders are basically the blind leading the blind at this point. I will say though, I want to say what is legitimately Enron-ish, like the vibe without it being Enron. Now, people can make the comparison because the structure is complex and can unwind fast. It has extreme concentration. The company says the vast bulk of its assets are in Bitcoin. That's pretty disturbing if you ask me. It has big fixed obligations plus a dependence on the actual Bitcoin market. It doesn't depend on the intrinsic value of Bitcoin itself, which, by the way, it does. It depends on the fact that Bitcoin has zero intrinsic value. That's a big deal. It disclosed $8.24 billion of its indebtedness and preferred stock with large annual dividend obligations. And it also says the software business hasn't generated positive operating cash flow recently, and it expects to meet obligations mainly via equity and debt financings. That is extremely sketchy. If capital markets shut down, it will have to sell Bitcoin, potentially below cost, to meet obligations. Again, this is a disclosed risk. Earnings stock can whipsaw because Bitcoin is volatile and fair value accounting pushes big gains losses through net income. By the way, that's a recipe for a hard crash and a bad cycle, even if everything is fully disclosed. Now, what is not Enron? Even though I believe that this is the next Enron. But what is not Enron is the key difference. Enron's core issue was deception, hiding liabilities, creating misleading financials. Strategy's core issue is openly disclosed concentration plus leverage. The red flags are mostly right there in its filings: debt, dividends, financing dependence, potential forced sales. I will say, though, props to Michael Saylor. You know, Enron was fucking you, but telling you it wasn't fucking you. Michael Saylor is effing you, and he's telling you that he's effing you. Like, Enron wasn't telling its shareholders it was effing them. It wasn't. But in the disclosures that Michael Saylor put out for his Micro Wiener Strategies company, it showed that, yeah, we are effing you, and we're going to tell you that we're effing you, and that you're basically, if you invest in our company, you're basically gambling on whether Bitcoin's going to be the future or not. I'm actually very depressed that the Bitcoin hoarding company MicroStrategies remains in the NASDAQ 100. It's a terrible company, dude. It's a terrible company, man. So what do you guys think about Micro Wiener Strategies? Do you guys think that it's a bad company? Do you guys think it might be one of the worst things? Do you guys think it's comparable to Enron? I personally think it's comparable to Enron. Some people disagree with me on this. I don't know how you couldn't make the comparison. Like, I don't know how you can look at this shitty ass company and say, "Oh, this is Enron." That's my opinion. I think it's the next Enron. Now, I will say the major difference is that they've been very transparent about what they're doing. Strategy has been. But I think the result is going to be the same. Enron crashed and got destroyed. It crashed and burned. I believe that strategy is also going to crash and burn. Simple as that. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that, and you know what, maybe we'll put a poll out. Let's put a poll.
Laugh out loud.
You can get his attention by typing a super chat.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And yeah, it does help get the attention, by the way, if you want my attention big time, you know. Thank you, my brony brother. I appreciate it. And yeah, you can get my attention through a super chat for sure. It does help. Give me one moment. Now the question for the day, for the poll, we have 0 votes in the poll, but is MicroStrategy the next Enron? We got 1 vote saying yes. Cool. Glad you guys agree with me on this one. Thank you so much, Random Player. Yes, you can get my attention by typing a super chat. That's very true. So I will be paying more attention to Random Player, obviously. Or also, if you're a member.
Emoji.
Honestly, you just being a member helps out a lot. So, thank you, Random Player, my brony brother. I appreciate that super chat as well. Thank you. Random Player, I know that you love me. I appreciate the love that you have for me. I do. That's why I highlight your super chats. Also, Random Player, make sure that if you really want to get my attention, by the way, anybody who really wants to get my attention, just become a channel member, because you have you get highlighted specifically as a channel member. So if you become a channel member, man, I can highlight any of your chats. I am more apt to highlight your chats if you're a channel member. No, dude, beeswax, I don't agree. I think teamwork is a bad thing ultimately. I think conventional wisdom is a bad thing. Like, for instance, I think the whole conventional wisdom that teamwork makes the dream work. I think teamwork makes nightmares work. I don't think teamwork is a good thing. In fact, teamwork is the bane of my existence. I think only incompetent people love teamwork. I believe that. I find that if I do things on my own, I mean, I think, by the way, I'm not saying that everybody does everything on their own by default. What I'm saying is, I think working in groups is annoying. You know what I mean? For example, if I'm reading a book, it's obviously made by another individual who also referenced other individuals, right? But what I'm trying to get at is, I think working in teams directly, I think is a bad idea. I think that you need to work as an individual, collaborate. I think collaboration's different than teamwork. You know, you use your skills in a certain way, they use their skills in a certain way. Everybody's got certain skills that they bring to the table. And you basically relegate those skills to the best of your ability. No, teamwork doesn't help at all. I think collaboration matters, but collaboration, by the way, is different than teamwork. I know people think, well, what's the difference between collaboration and teamwork? There is a difference. Teamwork is stupid, whereas collaboration makes sense. When you're collabing with somebody, you're taking their skills, they do their thing. You're taking your skills, you do your thing. You're doing it on an individual basis. With teamwork, everybody's hands are in the pot. Everybody's got to say so. Blah, blah, blah. I hate teamwork. Teamwork doesn't... I hate... You know what I hate? I'm going to go on a rant. You know what grinds my gears? Conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom annoys the shit out of me. I'll give you an example of conventional wisdom. Things that I hear all the time that bugs the shit out of me. Give me 1 second, though. I gotta do something real fast. Hold on.
Laugh out loud.
Birds of the same feather fly together.
Okay, so for example, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You guys have probably heard that one, right? You hear, and I believe that people with a scarcity mindset will often say this. You expect to have your cake and eat it too. God, I hate that. I hate people with a limited mindset. It pisses me off. I don't get it. Like, even when I was younger, I wasn't a fan of my teachers because they had a scarcity mindset. A lot of people in my life have had a scarcity mindset, and it is rough to deal with. Because I don't believe there's really anything scarce. We live in a universe filled with several galaxies. We live in a time with vastness, right? I think if you have a scarcity mindset, you're a moron. I think you're just a moron. You're probably a good person. You're probably not that dumb. I just hate conventional wisdom. I think conventional wisdom's idiotic. Let's see what random player's saying. Birds of a feather fly together. Oh, God, birds of a feather flock. Yeah, birds of a feather flock together. There's some truth to that, but yeah, most conventional wisdom's fucking retarded. Sorry. Didn't mean to say the... people say the R word all the time now. It doesn't matter. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is this. Conventional wisdom is not wisdom at all. In fact, it's a lack of wisdom. It's collective wisdom, and this is why I hate... That's probably my best argument against teamwork, is how stupid conventional wisdom is. Like, people are always quoting conventional wisdom as if it is wisdom. It's not really wisdom. It's kind of just some dumb saying that some schmuck said, and then everybody thought, oh, that sounds fucking cool. Yeah, give me a break. Let's see. Yeah, the birds of the same feather flock together. Yeah, I think that's just kind of one of those conventional wisdom things. It just blows my mind. I don't get it. Like I said, I hate conventional wisdom. I can't stand it, man. I think it's just idiotic. By the way, I want to apologize to everybody. We had to go back to the vertical format mainly because when I tried doing a horizontal format and then dual streaming it through the YouTube Studio just, I don't know, they messed up something. It looked like crap in the vertical format. So I decided instead of doing horizontal to vertical, I'm just going to do straight up vertical, because at least if I'm going to do one format over the other, I'm going to go for the format that has the most eyeballs, and clearly the most eyeballs goes to the vertical format. So I chose the vertical over the horizontal. As much as I want to go horizontal, I gotta go where the eyeballs are at, man. Okay, why am I being a hypocrite? Wait, are you talking about me being a hypocrite? What are we talking about here? I hate conventional wisdom. I really think it's that's another thing. Conventional wisdom is basically average thinking. It's usually bullshit, because the average person, in my opinion, thinks bullshit. Can I tell you what the average person is? The average person is heavily in debt. The average person makes bad decisions. The average person is not doing anything right. The average person thinks that saving cash is smart and thinks investing in stocks is gambling. I think most things that normal people do is ineffective. It's incompetent. And in fact, you can make the argument that the average person is actually hilariously incompetent. And that if you start thinking average, you become average. I don't like thinking average. That scares me. My greatest fear is being like everybody else. And heights. I hate heights. But yeah, no, I literally think that strategy is the next Enron. So we have 10 votes in the poll. Make sure you guys tap the subscribe button. Is MicroStrategy the next Enron? Now, I'm not necessarily saying it is, but I'm also hinting at the fact that I think it's going to crash and burn the same way that Enron did. Maybe not the exact same way, but it's going to go to zero, in my opinion. I mean, if I was the CEO of a company and I told my shareholders, hey, guess what? We're going to put all this money down on a Ponzi scheme, my shareholders would basically kick me off the board, right? Yeah, I'm just ignoring the chat at this point. No, the chat, by the way, a lot of the people by the way, if you want me to not ignore you, give me a super chat. $2 super chat will make it to where I'll actually pay attention to you. And yeah, because I see a lot of conventional wisdom being spewed in this chat specifically. But yeah, my overall goal though is just to kind of call out these board members, these CEOs, and I know that Michael Saylor is no longer the CEO. He's just a very prominent board member of MicroStrategies, right? And good for Michael Saylor, man. I love Michael Saylor. I love the fact that he sucks. No, I really wish I wish the best for the shareholders of MicroStrategies, but dude, you guys are in for a rude awakening, man, when Bitcoin crashes. It's gonna crash and burn. At least it deserves to. Hey, by the way, the equation is rarely wrong. it almost should be a law of the universe. Anything with an intrinsic value of 0 eventually goes to 0. Oh. And since strategy is holding a worthless thing, then we're screwed. All right. So here's some very popular conventional wisdom lines that I want to share with you guys that I think are absolute bullshit that a lot of people repeat, and I find these dumb. All right? Money can't buy happiness. That's bullshit. You know what it can buy? It can buy stability, safety, time, and fewer problems. So yeah, I can say that it in some ways buys happiness. So I honestly find money can't buy happiness to be a poor person's excuse for staying poor. I can rephrase that and say money can buy happiness. Because if I am going to be depressed, I would at least rather be depressed knowing that I have income coming in from all my assets. Now, I will say this. You could even rephrase that to be further. Assets can buy happiness. Because I will say this. I love the cash flow that I get from my assets. I love it. You could say that cash flow can buy happiness. To even extend upon that conventional wisdom further. Okay. Another piece of conventional wisdom that I think is stupid is hard work always pays off. That is not true, by the way. That is not true. Sometimes hard work can lead to nothing. Now, I'm not saying don't work hard, but I'm saying if you're going to work hard, make sure that what you're working towards is a certain purpose, right? If you're working hard for money, okay, fine. Make sure you take that money, the cash, I should say. Cash really isn't money at the end of the day because it's intrinsically worthless. But take that cash that you earn from all your hard work and put it into real assets. Then the hard work will eventually pay off. But yeah, hard work can pay off, but it does regularly get exploited. Do not rely on your income from your labor. Rely on it from your assets. That's the key. Also, I hate the saying just work harder. Because if I'm trying to think of something that's stupid that I could be doing that even if I worked harder, it would lead to nothing, right? I can move rocks from one place to another, but if I'm taking rocks and moving them into the middle of the road and it's impeding traffic, not only did I work harder to get those rocks over there, I also was working dumber. What I'm trying to say is hard work doesn't always pay off. Sometimes hard work on a purposeless project is a bad thing. If the project has no purpose, it's a bad thing. Oh, here's another piece of conventional wisdom that pisses me off. You should never discuss money. Fuck you. F you up the A, F you up the A, F you up the A. And I'll tell you why. You should always discuss money, right? If you want to stay underpaid and financially clueless, yeah, never discuss money. Never discuss money at the dinner table. Ooh, never discuss money in polite company. Ooh, this is why I don't want to be a normal person. It's because bullshit like this. I heard this shit all my life, and I thought to myself, that's stupid. And I'm glad. The fact that I'm so contrarian has actually made me not only a better person in life, it's made me a more thoughtful person. It's made me question some of the stupid things that we convince ourselves, like stupid cultural traditions, like stupid belief systems that just need to die, that are obsolete, that are irrelevant, right? We should question the things that we hear and are told. We should, absolutely. And conventional wisdom is a problem, by the way. Conventional wisdom is it's a problem. I think conventional wisdom is poison. I think that average thinking... Here's the thing. I would love to think average if average was actually effective, right? If it was an effective thing to be an average person, I would be more than happy to be an average person. But since the average person is miserable, broke, and hates their life, why would I want that? So make sure you guys tap the subscribe button, though. Is MicroStrategy the next Enron? 29% of you say yes. 71% of you say no. I'm a little bit surprised by this. You guys are aware that MicroStrategy is ran by Michael Saylor, who turned that company into a Bitcoin treasury, just to let you know. So yeah, make sure you guys tap subscribe. Is MicroStrategy the next Enron? That is the big question of the day. But hey, you know, some people love Michael Wiener strategies and Micro Wiener strategies, baby. But you know, hey, Michael Saylor fanboys unite. We all love Michael Saylor here on this channel. Pretend to, at least. Yeah. You know, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you this, Scott Schaefer. I will never ban any of you. By the way, this is what makes my show different. I let the troublemakers keep making trouble. All the troublemakers in the chat, all the degenerates, I let you guys do your thing. Because at the end of the day, it's your thoughts. You know, your thoughts don't ruin this. Because it's me paying attention to your shitty thoughts that ruins it. And by the way, I'll let your shitty thoughts keep going, man. All right, let's go with some more conventional wisdom that sucks ass. You guys ready? All right. So this is interesting. I've always kind of hated this saying too. Be yourself and people will like you. Absolutely not true, by the way. Absolutely not true. Not everybody will like you. In fact, there's going to be a chance that some people will judge you by a lot of factors. They'll judge you by the way you look. By the way, this is me, right? I'm kind of a little chubby. I'm a little unkept. Sometimes I've got stains on my shirt, but this is me. And myself, by the way, I've been myself and people don't like me all the time. Some people do like me, but I'm not an in-between kind of guy. People either really don't like me or they adore me. It's the weirdest thing. Either people love me or they hate me. Some people hate me and then they kind of grow to love me. That does eventually happen, but most of the time it's like it's a hit or miss. It's almost like a flip of a coin. But I am myself, and not everybody's going to like you, by the way. So, yeah, that's a piece of conventional wisdom that annoys the hell out of me, and it sets false expectations. Yeah, be yourself, and the people that you want to like you will like you, I think would be a better revision of that common phrase. Be yourself, and the people that you want to be around you will like you. And that's important. That really is important. Because the people who like you for you will like you. The people that don't like you for you will avoid you. Or maybe try to sabotage your life, one or the other. Either way, being yourself is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying be yourself, because people pleasing is just as Whitney Cummings would say, people pleasing is just another form of assholery. And I agree with that. Let's see. Ooh, this is another one that I hate so fucking much. Blood is thicker than water. Ugh. Yeah. By the way, the ultimate guilt trip for toxic family. If you hear one of your family members say that blood is thicker than water, that's manipulative. Because it's just an excuse for family to get away with bullshit behavior. My dad... I've heard my dad say that a couple times, and it pisses me off. I think it's a form of gaslighting. because it's like, you got to love your family no matter what. No, I'm sorry. I care about my family and I do love my family. But like, for instance, my dad and I, we got a pretty shitty relationship sometimes. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. It just depends. But yeah, no, blood is technically thicker than water. But don't let if your family ever says that phrase, blood is thicker than water, tell them to stop gaslighting you. Tell them to stop manipulating you, because it's a form of guilt. It's a guilt tripping thing. It's a way for you to tolerate their dysfunction and tolerate how much of a piece of shit they are. Yeah, fuck that. How about this? I don't know how I would even rephrase that. In fact, I would just remove that entire phrase from my vocabulary. Blood is thicker than water is the dumbest piece of conventional wisdom I've ever heard. But yeah, I always talk about how much I hate conventional wisdom. Well, I wanted to go over the conventional wisdom that I think is bullshit. I might as well, Might as well. We got 17 votes on the poll. We got 35% of you said yes to strategy being the next Enron. 65% say no. Interesting. I'm going to let the people decide. F Mario says, can I ask you something, dude? I'll try to answer. Ooh. This is another one I hate. I hate this so much. Everything happens for a reason. Yuck. That is probably the biggest piece of shit conventional wisdom you'll ever hear. Everything happens for a reason. No, sometimes stuff happens because life can be a little bit random and unfair. Things can just happen. And yeah, the reason sometimes can be that it's just randomness. But yeah, I just hate, it's one of the most annoying things. Like there's some sort of divinity towards everything that happens. Maybe there isn't. Maybe some things are just random. Maybe things just happen, and because they happen. So I hate it when everything happens for a reason. Oh, it's so fucking stupid. I hate conventional wisdom. If I could, I would take all those phrases, I would print them off on a piece of paper. I would take a fat dump on all of those phrases. I'm not going to do that because I would get kicked off of YouTube if I did that. But I'm taking a verbal crap on this level of verbal crap. I consider these phrases verbal shit, by the way. And I'm going to take a verbal shit on this verbal shit. Oh. Oh, another thing that you hear when you're young, you can be anything you want. That's true to some point, but also not true. It's a bit of a troubling one. You could be many things, trust me, but you can't be anything you want. I can't just be the president of the United States because I will it, right? I could try my best, by the way, to be like, if I wanted to, like, let's say I did want to be the president of the United States one day. Let's say I did. Let's say I applied every single aspect of my life. There are some people who could be absolutely perfect and do nothing wrong, do everything right, and still get overlooked. It doesn't mean I'm going to be the president of the United States. I might be able to be the president of a little club. But yeah, no, the whole saying you could be anything you want, there are some restraints. Like, for instance, you can work your ass off to become what you wanted. If you like, there are times where if you set goals, you could potentially become the thing that you're trying to become. Sure. I'm just saying, though, I think that you could be anything you want. I think that gives you too many options. I think human beings tend to have trouble when they have too many options. But you should have look, I want to be a great software developer, for example. I put in the work. Am I going to be better than everybody else? No, there's always going to be somebody better than me at something. And I'm okay with that. But yeah, you can be most things, but you can't be anything. It's just not true. So I think that that's a piece of conventional wisdom that I heard a lot as a kid. It was never told to me. It was, in fact, quite the opposite, is that you probably won't amount to anything because you're weird. That one hurts. I don't know. That sucks. Anyway, the customer is always right. Ugh. That's one I actually hate. I'll tell you what. So, the consumer is often wrong. Emotional, uninformed, or even abusive. So, like, you see this all the time with Karens that go into department stores. But yeah, the customer is always right. The customer, I would rephrase that to the customer doesn't actually know what they want. They think they know what they want. They usually have an idea of what they want, but usually the customer has no idea why they're in there. Most people wander around aimlessly. I'll give you an example. When I go into Ross to look at clothing and shit, I go to my local Ross store, and even I don't know what the fuck's going on. I don't even know what I'm looking for. I might be looking for shampoo. So the customer's not always right. Sometimes the customer is absolutely clueless. So the customer is always right is one of those bullshit conventional wisdom statements that you hear all the time. It needs to go away. The customer is sometimes abusive. Should be the new conventional wisdom. Fake it till you make it. Ooh, gross. This is like my number one. This might be the greatest of all time in conventional wisdom I fucking hate. Fake it till you make it. Ew. Gross. Nasty. Fake it till you make it might be the dumbest phrase ever uttered. The first time I ever heard it was when I was like younger. I think I was like in high school. Fake it till you make it, dude. I'm sorry. It's sometimes useful, but honestly, it's a fast path to like fraud, burnout, or even imposter syndrome. Look, do it till you're good at it. Faking it till you make it is the stupidest thing in the world, dude. That's another example why I don't take conventional wisdom seriously. Is fake it till you make it is probably one of those that just sickens me to the core. Let's see. Ooh. Say yes to every opportunity. Check this out. So, saying yes to every opportunity is really detrimental because it's a great way to become extremely busy, stressed, and mediocre at everything. So, I actually do like to say no to certain things. For example, sometimes, as much as I love playing Magic from time to time with my friends, I sometimes just have to say no because I'm working towards something that's going to give me more free time, right? And like I said, I like playing Magic. It's actually very entertaining. I'm not very good at it, but it's entertaining to play. I like coming up with strategies and seeing if I can outwit my boys. Sometimes, most of the time I can't, but it's fun to play anyway. And also, I think that there's something that people need to kind of be used to is you're not going to be good at everything. That's a huge lesson that people need to learn in life is you're not going to be good at everything. And it's funny because I use Magic the Gathering as the greatest example of why I'm not good at everything because my friends kick my ass at that game. They straight up kick my ass, and that's a good thing. Because I don't expect to be great at everything. There's some things that I'm just like, I'm not good. That's okay. I still like to try. but I don't get bent out of shape if I'm not good at certain things. There are a lot of things I'm not good at. Give me 1 second, folks. All right, here we go. Min Sierra saying you just don't understand Bitcoin, Garza. No, I understand Bitcoin. I understand you basically own a string of data, and you're expected to treat that string of data as a godly form of digital currency, which is backed by nothing, by the way, but the flimsy software. I do like the cryptographic algorithms, though, of Bitcoin. Very fascinating. They're very cool. Bitcoin's a very cool software, by the way. Just to let you know. But it's also the coolness of the software doesn't make it valuable, though. Oh, here's another one that I hate in the world of business. We're like a family here. It usually means like boundaries will be disrespected and loyalty will be demanded without protection, So yeah, anytime you hear we're like a family here, just probably leave that company. Ooh, here's another one that I hate. Never burn bridges. You should absolutely burn certain bridges. Absolutely, dude. Because some bridges lead back to bad places. Burn responsibly. Seriously. Like, for example, if you are, like, let's say you do drugs. I don't know what sort of drugs you guys do in the chat, but let's say you guys in the chat do drugs. And you know what I mean? Let's say you do. I don't know if you do or not. I have zero clue. But let's say you do drugs. And you have a few drug dealers that you talk to, blah, blah, blah. But you realize that the drugs are bad for you. Sometimes you got to burn those bridges and be like, I don't want to ever talk to you again. Get out of my life. If I ever see you again, I'm calling the cops. That sort of thing. That's good. You should always burn bridges if you need to. I'm not saying you burn every bridge. But this is all, by the way, this is all metaphorical. Not literally. Don't take this literally. But no, I think it's good to burn some bridges. Absolutely. Burn some bridges, man. For instance, I've burned, like, with people in the chat, I'm sure I've burned some bridges with people in the chat because of how much I can't stand Bitcoin or my certain opinions on investing. I'm absolutely okay with burning bridges if I have to. But I got to be me. I got to be who I truly am. I got to be authentic. I got to be to myself, Hey, the audience will come. COME, not the other word. Bitcoin is garbage. Sorry, random player. I can't help it, man. Bitcoin's garbage, man. Ooh. This is another one. This is another one that pisses me off. Always forgive. No. Forgiveness isn't mandatory. Boundaries are. So here's the thing. If you forgive somebody, here's the thing. there are people in my life that have done things to me that I wouldn't say are unforgivable, but I choose not to acknowledge their existence, like the person themselves. For example, somebody that I don't actually associate with anymore is a guy that I used to, that Gerald. His name is Gerald. I'm not going to say his last name just because I don't like to dox people, but his name's Gerald. And he, honestly, I didn't like being around him. He would do drugs and then try to like bang me. It was really weird. And so because of that, I didn't want to hang out with him. Because I was like, dude, you're doing too much gay shit to me. Stop that. And so, sometimes forgiveness, look, I don't forgive people because I do forgive people if, I don't know, forgiveness is a weird one. I think that just avoiding people, I think just erasing somebody out of I think forgive and erase, I think is a good way to think about it. So I wouldn't say that I often think about this person, but I guess you could say I forgive him, but I'm not going to associate with him. You know what I mean? If I see him in public, I might be kind. I don't know. But I'm not going to associate with him because I know better. Right? If people wrong you and they're just bad for you and they're a bad part of your life, you just ignore them and you reject them. I think rejecting some people is a good thing. It's all about balance. That's another one. Here's the thing. Some seasons require obsession, not balance. I think that balance is actually detrimental to the human psyche. I don't think anybody's ever truly balanced anyway, and I think it's kind of a bullshit concept. That's my personal opinion on it. But, we live in an interesting world. Like I said, I don't really believe in balance for shit. I'm an unbalanced individual. That's probably why I don't believe in balance. Oh, we got 25 votes. By the way, tap the subscribe button in the upper right-hand corner. It does help the channel grow. Is MicroStrategy the next Enron? That's the big question of the day. 36% of you say yes. 64% of you say no, but make sure you guys vote in this poll. I think this poll may turn around. So the question is MicroStrategy the next Enron? 36% say yes. 64% say no. Interesting. I believe they're going to crash and burn. But yeah, I think we're on the right path, you guys. Yeah, I watch a little bit of wrestling from time to time. I do enjoy WWE. AEW is pretty dope. I think AEW is still happening, but I don't watch a lot of wrestling. I used to watch wrestling when I was younger. It was fun. Bro thinks he's German. So what do you guys, is there any conventional wisdom that you guys can think of that annoys the shit out of you? That you feel just doesn't work in reality? But yeah, what do you guys think? Is there anything that you guys can think of that you guys just feel is just BS, like conventional wisdom It doesn't really help anybody. It doesn't make your lives any better, you know? Oh, yeah. It's pretty tough to buy a home. Absolutely. Especially right now. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, one of the reasons I rent is because, yeah, it is impossible to buy a home. I mean, the only thing I can really own is stocks. And by the way, I'm fine with owning stocks. I don't really care. Whenever there's a bear market, I tend to buy up as many ETFs as I can and hold on to them. Hell yeah, man. I'm on a roll. I've been swing trading the SBIT, by the way. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm kicking ass because Bitcoin, the entire Bitcoin market seemed to be crashing pretty hard. Which truthfully makes me happy because I think Bitcoin is one of the worst grifts of all time. I'm sorry, if you don't think Bitcoin's a grift, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Yeah, I consider Bitcoin to be the hyperest of all grifts, the super grift. Random player, I think so. SBIT is an ETF. So SBIT is one of the. I'll give you the full rundown. So SBIT is ProShares Ultra Short Bitcoin ETF. So I don't know if you can get ETFs on Coinbase. I think you can only buy cryptocurrencies on Coinbase, as far as I know. But you can exchange traded funds can be purchased on just about any exchange, whether it's Robinhood or not any exchange, any brokerage. If you have Robinhood, what's the other one? Schwab, Public. It's another Public's. I'm not a big fan of Public. Public annoys me actually. Weeble, Moo. There's one called Moo. I love it. But yeah, you can get the SBIT on. It's a leveraged ETF, by the way. So you're essentially betting against Bitcoin when you get into it. I think it's great because, first off, if you already own Bitcoin and you've made a lot of money on Bitcoin and you want to protect your downside, the SBIT is a good way to protect your downside. Do you lose a little bit on profit if you're wrong? Sure, why not? But no, I do believe that Bitcoin is terrible, and I love trickle buying into SBIT when it dips and trickle selling as it goes back up. I'm a trickly kind of guy. I like to trickle. I like to trickle in, trickle out, trickle in, trickle out, trickle in, trickle out. Yeah. But yeah, man, ultimately I think that Bitcoin is clickcoin. I don't think it's I think it's a net negative to society. I don't really believe it's a net positive to society. I think it's bad. Yeah. I'm happy to bet against Bitcoin. I really am. So make sure you guys tap the subscribe button though. The question of the day, the poll of the day is MicroStrategy the next Enron? That is the golden question of the day. 39% of you say yes, 61% of you say no. Interesting. Oh. Interesting. You guys are making my pee small. But yeah, so we got 31 votes on this poll. 39% of you say yes, 61% of you say no. Is MicroStrategy the next Enron? I'm not saying it is. I'm just asking the questions. I wonder if anybody else has made videos similar to this. No, but MicroStrategy, I believe, should be seen as a Ponzi scheme. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Michael Saylor is a grifter with his laser eyes? In fact, let's take a look at Michael.com, by the way. I obsess over Michael Saylor. I love how Michael Saylor owns Michael.com. That is so fucking funny. That makes me so happy. Actually, it makes me mad. I wish I owned Michael.com. Dude, he acts like, the one thing that pisses me off about Michael Saylor is he treats Bitcoin like Bitcoin is some sort of like savior of money. It's not. Bitcoin is a cult, and it's an unhealthy one, if you ask me. I think Bitcoin's garbage. No, Bitcoin is absolutely a Ponzi scheme. And the fact that Micro Wiener Strategies is so into Bitcoin, it scares the shit out of me. By the way, we're at 6,489 subscribers. I want to thank everybody who subscribed. We're almost to 6,500. I honestly can't believe it. If you guys can, please tap the subscribe button. It does help the channel grow, but please tap that. Got to hit that. Boom, boom, boom. Tap that subscribe. We're trying to actually get to 10,000 before the end of the year, but I don't think that's going to be possible. I want to get to 10,000 subscribers so badly, but we're not there yet. Maybe we'll get to 7,000 before year's end, though. But I'm still shooting high. Thank you for double tapping the screen with your tip. I appreciate it. Michael Saylor. Do you guys like Michael Saylor as much as I do? Are you guys gay for Michael Saylor? Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor for 3. Let's take a look at our homeboy. Michael Saylor. You guys ready for this? Michael Saylor. Okay, let's see. Here we go. My favorite grifter. My favorite brony brother. No, yeah, gold is way better. Bitcoin is garbage, by the way. Bitcoin is absolute trash. And if anybody thinks Bitcoin isn't, I mean, dude, it's just a string of data. Literal string of data, man. Yeah, gold and silver absolutely hold value because they have real world utility. I can actually use gold and silver for a variety of things. I can't use Bitcoin for garbage. I can't use Bitcoin for anything in the real world. If you take away Bitcoin's market value, what makes it valuable besides the market value? If the market value is all that makes Bitcoin valuable, then Bitcoin isn't really valuable. It's a collectible, and it's a digital piece of garbage. And yeah, there have been people who made a lot of money off Bitcoin. Good for them. By the way, I'm not jealous of that. I say good for you. If you've made money on a Ponzi scheme, in fact, I admire the hell out of you. I admire Michael Saylor as much as I make fun of this guy. The fact that he's made a lot of money on a Ponzi scheme is relatively impressive. Here's some pictures of our Lord and Savior, Michael Saylor. Look at that face. No way. So when I clicked on the photo, it just had me download. Dude, this is probably a virus. Delete that shit, dude. This guy is such a grifter, dude. Portraits of Michael Saylor. This is all AI generated. Oh my God. This is all AI generated garbage. Bitcoin magazine, him playing chess. Like he knows better than all of you guys because he gets into Bitcoin. What a tool, dude. Yeah, biggest question of the day, man. Michael Saylor. Well, that's enough Michael Saylor for me. Oh, that's enough Michael Saylor. Loki just said he busted on the screen. Oh, God. Guys, don't forget to tap the subscribe button, though. The more subscribers we get, the better. Also, don't forget to vote in the poll, by the way. We have a poll going. Make sure you tap the subscribe button first, and then ask yourself the question, is MicroStrategy the next Enron? Yes or no? What do you guys think? Hmm. Everybody wants to see frosting. They want to see frosting on my nose. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting frosting on my nose. I refuse to put frosting on my nose. I could put a little bit of frosting. I could put a smidget of blue frosting on my nose. Sure. Without a doubt. You know, I wish I would have thought of the whole toilet seat thing before the toilet seat guy did. I really missed the marker on that one. You know, it's funny. I will say, from one standpoint, I was thinking about this, and as an investor, as somebody who loves to invest, my goal is not to expand my YouTube channel per se, as in expanding the quality of it. I do want to, kind of make more content and expand upon my thoughts and be more articulate, sure. But I don't really intend on like making, you know how like Linus Tech Tips is totally establishment at this point? I still want to be anti-establishment no matter what. But I want this channel to become kind of a force, because the more subscribers we get and the more we promote our anti-establishment agenda, I'm going to keep investing with the YouTube money that I've been making. And my goal is not to really expand. I want to expand my subscriber base for sure. More subscribers, more money. But the more money I make, the more I want to put it into my investments. Because at the end of the day, my investments are there. They pay me whether they like me or not. Because once I own my investments, I own them. They're mine. Those are my stocks. My shares of Coca-Cola are mine. You know what I mean? I will say I think it's good to be extremely diversified, though. I really do. I think it's fantastic to be extremely diversified. Everybody wants to see the frosting. They want me to put the frosting on my eyebrows. They want me to put the frosting on my nose. I'm glad you guys are enjoying my goatee, though. It's nice that I finally have facial hair. I'm fully embracing my villain arc, as some would say. But if you guys haven't subscribed, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. The more subscribers we get, the better. Obviously, it does help the channel grow. But I want to thank everybody for voting in this poll so far. We got 39 votes in this poll. Pretty cray-cray. I like it. Why is everybody gooning? Why are you guys gooning so much? It's too much gooning. You guys got to stop with the gooning, man. Will you ever stop this gooning? Will you take away the pain? And I will stand by you forever. You can goon my breath away. And I can be a gooner. And I can goon away the pain. You can goon my breath away. Benito Gaming, yes. You remember me, dude. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, though. The more subscribers we get, the better, dude. Hell yeah. Hit that subscribe button, dude. We're on a subscribe party. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're currently sitting pretty at 6,490 subscribers. But right now, we're trying to get to 6,500. We're only 10 subscribers away, by the way. Holy shit, man. All right, so what are you guys doing right now in the chat? All right, I'm going to try to do 10 push-ups off camera. Do you guys think I could do 10 push-ups off camera? I'm going to try, man. Whoa, why you guys are having a conversation in the chat without me? What the hell? All right, I'm going to do while you guys are having a conversation in the chat, while you guys are plotting to betray the captain, which is me, I'm going to do some push-ups. I probably can only do 10 right now. That's all I feel. I'm going to try to do 10 in one setting, though. Maybe I could do 15. Who knows? Maybe. 16. Okay, so I'm able to do. Able to do 15 push-ups. That took a bit. I feel pretty swole right now. Ugh. Who is Juice, by the way? So wait, who is Juice? You say you want me to remove Juice from the chat? Who's that? This is great, man. This is fantastic. Man, I got zero clue what's going on in my own chat, man. I'm an old man, dude. I don't understand how this newfangled technology works. I don't get it. Just an old man here with my typewriter. Hey, I don't understand you young whippersnappers, man. All this, what do you guys call that? What's that fad called again? The 6767? Hey, thank you, my brony brother. Hey, guys, don't forget to tap the subscribe button, though. The more subscribers we get, the better. It does help the channel grow in more ways than one. And I do see we got more votes in this poll, by the way. I'm trying to end this poll with 100 votes. Is MicroStrategy the next Enron? 58% of you said no. 42% are saying yes. There's some traction that's being gained on this particular poll, and I'm very fascinated by it, by the way. A lot of traction on this poll. Oh, you probably are older than me, random player. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, it felt good to do 15 push-ups, though. My arms are a little bit sore, but definitely needed to get those out of the way. trying to think if I could maybe do 10 more. Do you guys think I could do 10 more push-ups? Because I did 15. Trying to see if maybe... I think I could probably do 10 more. Dolphin Tactic, what are you talking about, man? I let the chat do what it wants, man. I let the chat take on a life of its own, dude. I know the chat wants to betray me. The chat, this is like, I figure my YouTube chat is like a pirate ship, and I'm the captain, right? I'm the captain, you guys are the pirates, and you guys are all trying to dethrone me. Okay, that's fair. I think I could probably do 10 more, because I did 15, my arms were a little sore, but you know what? Why not? Let's do a few more. Okay, I was able to do 10 more. That took a second. Oh. Has anybody got any happy poop yum yums? Anybody? I need some happy poop yum yums, is what I'm trying to get at. If you guys got any, I'll take them. I need the happy poop. Feels good to work out, though. Feels good. All right, 25 for the day. 25 push-ups. I feel good about that. Thank you guys for everybody who subscribed, by the way. If you could, tap the subscribe button in the upper right-hand corner. It does help the channel grow in more ways than one. And you won't miss out on any of this sexy content. So the more subscribers we get, the sexier the show. The sexier the show actually gets. My brony brother. I know you guys are bronies. We're all bronies here. We get it. Kicking butt. Dude, you guys were only 10 subscribers away from hitting 6,500. Once again, 10 subscribers away from hitting 6,500 subscribers, man. We're almost there, dude. Hold on. I'm trying to pop my back. It's a tough one. Not always easy. Now I'm a good entertainer, man. Let me, dude. Honestly, why does everybody think I'm a Reddit moderator? Why do you guys think I'm a Reddit mod? Is it because I have a ginger beard? Yeah, I do grow a ginger beard, by the way. Yeah, absolutely. I love Tucker Carlson, dude. Tuck is the man, dude. Tuck is the truth. You can't cuck the Tuck. Sorry. I've got Reddit vibes. Hey, you guys, make sure you tap the subscribe button, though. More subscribers, the better. It does help the channel and my wiener. And my wiener grow. And it helps the show immensely. So more subscribers equals more channel growth. I want to annoy people I've never met. So if you guys want to help me annoy people I've never met, tap the subscribe button. That is true, random player. I don't actually block anybody. So I would be a terrible Reddit moderator. Because really, I don't really moderate anything. Paige is wondering what the channel's about. So the channel is primarily about investing. We call out a lot of Ponzi schemes. So I consider myself the cleanup crew for CoffeeZilla on YouTube. And the reason I consider myself the cleanup crew, because CoffeeZilla doesn't call out the other Ponzi schemes. Like, for instance, I believe that Michael Saylor and his micro wiener strategy company is a Ponzi scheme. And I believe Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. I think the whole crypto market is one big gambling Ponzi scheme. And CoffeeZilla needs to call out all cryptocurrencies as illegitimate and that they're not valuable. If he doesn't, he's a grifter. If CoffeeZilla needs to come clean and just say, hey, look, all crypto's grifto. All right. If CoffeeZilla was legitimate, which I like to believe he is, he would call out crypto for being grifto. Do I like The Undertaker? Sure. Absolutely. Great wrestler. I'm going to brush my teeth real quick, though. All right, you guys. Well, I'll be back in a bit. I got some stuffs I got to do. Got some stuffs I got to take care of, but I'll catch y'all later. Bye.